Hi, how are you today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well. I'm good
Good. Good to see you.
too.
And gotta say, here you are, your character, Mary. She has her own saloon, hotel thing. And everybody would probably think, oh, especially with a name like Mary, she's going to be this nice, quiet, petite, lady. Mary didn't take any crap, did she?
No, she certainly did not. No, yeah, I think that was a very fun part to play for her. I think definitely sort of the like she's the adventurer and can go in the world and take care of herself, but then also a businesswoman who can perform and can play that role and seduce as well. I liked that she could do all those things, and do it on her own terms.
Right. Because the way they had it, I mean, like with your character, Gina's character, uh, the one woman who worked for you, also
Mm,
there.
Kathy,
None of
yeah.
them were damsels in distress. I mean, they could
No, not at
definitely
all.
take care of themselves.
hmm It's actually kind of cool. I'm thinking right now, I'm like, oh, like the business owners in this film were like, the two business owners essentially were women, which is kind of cool. um, and yeah, I think kind of having, I think, in this film, sort of switching up the idea of, I think in old Westerns, a lot of times women were more accessories to sort of the male narrative of the story, or the like girlfriend or wife or past lover kind of situation, but wasn't necessarily partaking in the active like forward plot movement, and physicality of the piece. I think I hope we kind of shifted elements of that in this film, and um, I I really sort of enjoyed that with like the hand-to-hand combat that me and Regina did, and our arc together as characters, and also my arc with Cuffy and our relationship for sure.
Nope, like you said, that was just great to see where, like you said, nobody's cowering, waiting for the man to show up. In fact, you guys
Yeah.
did more people than the guys did. So that was great.
Yeah. Yeah, particularly Trudy. She's a bad one.
That's for sure. And I know, like when a lot of us were growing up, especially back in my time, we always pretended to be either superheroes or cowboys. And, it's
Mhm.
kind of like, this just seems like this had to be like a childhood dream, being fulfilled for you as well.
That's so funny. I didn't really grow up watching Westerns so much.
Ah,
That was actually a fun thing for me to like discover as I was making this film. I was like, I need to like brush up on this sort of canon of work. And me and one of the actors, Eddie Gathegi, he plays Bill Pickett. We would meet up on Sundays and watch a Western together. We would like pick one and then watch. And that was really cool, for me who didn't grow up with much of a relationship with this genre,
yeah.
to really kind of see like, oh wow, these are classics for a reason. There's a reason they have really permeated our culture and such a big part of film, and what people connect with. The worlds are all sort of big and heightened, I think, in the same way that this film is, but obviously there are good ones and bad ones, and we saw our share of both. But for the good films, like you're like, oh, all the acting is really grounded, is really real, and the stories, like the stakes are real. And I feel that way about this film, which was
Oh,
fun for me. Of like, it's a big world, and I love like world building and playing and like almost like fantasy places, but having the characters and the feelings be like real. And so that was, I felt kind of like, wow, I ticked off this huge iconic genre.
yeah.
And I kind of want to like do all the genres. I think it'd be a fun thing to explore. Yeah, I think so. Yes.
All right. I have to ask then, what was one of your favorite old Westerns that you watched?
Ooh, I have to say, and this might be a boring answer, but Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was incredible. Like I hadn't seen it growing up, which is so
Yeah.
dumb. But I was like, well, now I gotta watch it. It's so good. The acting is so good. And then there was another one. I actually don't think it was the first one. It was, I think it's like a few dollars and then there's like a few dollars
Oh, yeah,
more.
fistful of dollars.
I
Yeah, right.
loved that. I thought, I don't know. I just, there's also play with that with like the music and the timed watch and like the lost, like the pain. I just,
Mhm.
yes, there's like shoot, shoot, bang, bang. But I think, like with any superhero movie or with any good film, it has to be grounded. And I think, the good Westerns for me they were grounded in really human things. And so I hope people feel that way about The Harder They Fall as well.
We do. And I enjoyed this conversation so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Enjoyed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
Hey,
James,
Greg Russell, how you doing, brother?
great. How are you?
I'm James. All
James.
good. I'm golden.
Absolute pleasure. I got to tell you something. I told Jonathan this. We've got a group of friends who always, like to come over and watch movies because we seem to have, a lot here at our home. The other week, one of them said, man, I would really like to see a good Black Western. I have not seen one, in a while, and da 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 da. Then Netflix presents this to me, and I said, I got something for the group. Everybody enjoyed this so much. Thank you for bringing it to us.
Oh, thank you, Greg, man. That means a lot. That means a lot. It was a passion project of the highest degree, and it was a film that I believed need being presented to public. It's a story that needs telling. These people, these characters that really existed, they need to be seen and spoken about. So thank you. It's an honor to have you watch it and your friends dig it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and like you said, we all knew, from like grandparents and different people who were able at the time to pass down stories to us that, yeah, this stuff, really did go on. And, especially when I'm watching, I had even told somebody before, God, somebody needs to do something with Bass Reeves. And then, here in your movie, it's like,
exactly. I threw everyone in there. Like I put Bass Reeves, Bill Pickett, Nat Love, Cherokee Bill, Stagecoach Mary, Gertrude Smith, literally all of these superheroes of the hundreds of years ago, and put them all in one place in one time, and had them all kind of head on the collision course in the most awesome way possible. It's amazing.
It really is. It really is. Look forward. I'm going to watch it again and again. So I just want to let you know. But
Me too.
the other good part is, got to talk with Azazi about this, where, as compared to older Westerns, from the past, where the women were usually just the, oh, save me or protect me or, what. I'd have been more afraid of your ladies in this movie than some of the guys because they weren't taking anything.
Absolutely. For me, that was one of the big things to show that women weren't subservient. Just because it's a period piece, just because the film is set in a particular period, it doesn't mean the women have to be any less strong than the men. That doesn't make sense. We come from women, so it was important for me to have these women as presented as powerful as the men. It's a woman that rescues Rufus Buck, and the same woman when Nat Love says, "Where's your boss?" My boss. Clearly, you don't know me. Like I just wanted to really do a much more accurate portrayal than what has been presented, at least in my eyes, at least in the way I see things, and it's just super fun.
It is. And I was going to say, no, I was right there with you, being raised by a single mother from 8 years old up. I always knew who was in charge.
Yeah.
Her,
Same like myself. My mom was always in charge, still is in charge. Like, okay, mommy. Okay, I will be done.
It's your dog. Don't think just because you're a big director now. No. Right. No, I'm still directing you.
No way. Exactly. I go home. My mom sends me to the store to buy eggs. Like some things never change.
Right. And such a tremendous cast you had too. I mean, everyone was just so dynamic. And, all these, when I say big personalities, came out on screen that just made this even more powerful.
Absolutely. You know, I had an amazing cast. I had I had a wish list,
Yeah.
and basically everyone on the wish list came to
Oh,
play. Every time I met someone on FaceTime, from Regina King to Lakeith Stanfield, Jonathan Majors, they all saw the vision immediately and um and put their trust in me to bring this story to life, and these characters that really existed that have never been portrayed before on screen, to life in such a fashion. And I think we see it on screen. We see like all of the magic that they had, and the almost like celebratory approach to their portrayals
mhm.
of the characters. They're so delicious, just awesome. And yeah, I was fortunate in the casting department.
Absolutely. James, I could talk to you for hours, but thank you so, so much for your time today and also for this movie. And like I said, look forward to watching it again.
Thank you so much. And I dig your energy. And one time we'll have to have a screening when we're in the same place and
I
just
would
talk.
love that.
My brother.
All
Thank
right, James. Take care.
you. Take care, bro.
Jonathan, how are you?
Greg Russell, NBC Detroit. Good.
Yes,
How are
sir.
you?
Doing well, doing well. Good to see you, man. I've got to tell you something that's very funny. A week before, some friends were over, we were watching movies, and one of them said, "Man, I'd really like to see a good black Western." And then this comes up. I invited them over. Got to tell you, everybody enjoyed it very, very much the other day.
Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
because
Right
we
on time.
don't see right, right. It was just so perfect. And just everybody was a leading person like your guy. I mean, you follow along with him. He's on some type of mission, but you don't find out, of course, until later. But he just was a very powerful guy.
Not love, you say?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. I think thing about Nat is that his hurt is so deep, that it
Mhm.
takes just takes a lot of energy to get there. It takes a lot of energy to heal that. Um, and because, I mean, you say everybody has this leading instrument, there's something about Nat Love's hurt that thrust him forward, and the immediacy of what it is that happened to him and where we find him in his life, that it's now or never for him, you know so I think that leads to that energy you're speaking to.
Right. Because, you see so many, there are different groups, different facets of people. And just kind of, it was just kind of neat when I say to see the battles that they had with each other. I mean, normally you don't like to see, people like get beat up or whatever, but it was just like, hey, the strong survive when it comes down to this.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about a Western, right? And the idea of, like, frontiers and, undiscovered lands, that in order to, there is no government, there is no social norm, there is no um, town or city, and if there is one, it's right at the juvenilia of its existence, which then leads us to usually an adolescent way of living. And I remember myself as an adolescent fighting, cussing, stealing, trying to survive, trying to fill out my body, fill out my place in the world. That's what the West is. The
Mhm.
West is a bunch of people trying to fill out, who they are, wrestling with their fate. That's what it offers us. So yeah.
But also just have to ask you, like, of course, everybody had to ride a horse. Now, were you a horse riding person to start with, or was this something that you had to get used to and, figure out how to do?
I was familiar with horses. I had ridden a little bit for a little while, and but it's also different. I should say this: like, to ride a horse, you can ride a horse. That's fine. People can ride a horse. I mean, trail riding is one thing, um, and rodeoing is another thing. But riding a horse in a film
Mhm.
is very different. I mean, people can't hit their mark sometimes. You know what I mean? You got to walk and put your
Right.
feet, and you've been walking for 32 years in my case, and you still missed the mark. You know what I mean? Because you're not looking at it. Now, with a horse, you know what I mean? You got to look past him to the
Right.
ground, but you can't look, so it's like, yeah, riding a horse in a movie is a whole different circus trick in and of itself. But yeah, I was familiar with horses and had ridden some before.
Okay. Yeah, because I've often wondered, like I used to do things where they'd send me out like to some farm to ride a horse for a story. And it's like, get
Yeah.
me the slowest, oldest horse you have.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You want a cool blood. I like the hot blood. I like the hot blood.
Right.
Let's come on. Let's go.
And like you said, I mean, tremendous cast, yourself, Idris, God, Regina, I mean, just so many people. And it was just great to see all these folks getting together, working together. And like we said, wow, maybe this will open the door to many more Black Westerns.
Yeah, I mean, not just Black Westerns, but stories of this. I mean, these are epics, telling stories of this size and this magnitude. And I mean, it's not a secret, how to get these things done. I think about, I'm in London now, but back home, the civil rights movement, it was everybody.
Yeah.
It was the young folks, it was the older folks, it was the ministers, it was the government officials, it was the children. Everybody was moving to make this thing happen. And the same thing can be said about the making of The Harder They Fall, that we pull from. It's a multi-generational, multi-talented, multifaceted group of artists that have come together, and not just artists, craftsmen, businessmen, coming together to make this movement happen. And this movement is called The Harder They Fall. And hopefully, and I believe it will, it'll open doors for more frontiers within cinema to do the same thing.
Looking forward to it, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Again, enjoyed the movie very, very much. And you take care, and talk to you again very soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you for watching it.
You got it.